Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. It is League Cup time at Molineux as Wolves host Burnley in the second round of this on this late August Wednesday night. Wolves have started the season with two defeats, both to London opposition. It started with a defeat at Arsenal on the opening weekend with a 2-0 defeat, then a hiding at home at the weekend by Chelsea with that game ending 6-2. For the away side in Burnley, they started magnificently with a 4-1 away win at Luton, followed by a 5-0 thump into Cardiff in their first home game of the season, but at the weekend they fell to their first defeat under new manager Scott Parker away at the Stadium of Light, where Sunderland beat them by 1-0. These two sides did meet last season in the Premier League, with Wolves winning here at Molineux by 1-0 in early December, and the second fixture was a 1-1 draw at Turf Moor. So, can Wolves go on and try and win a third League Cup title, or will Burnley send themselves through, as in this competition they have reached the fourth round in each of the last 4 seasons? So, again, I think for Wolves, this could either be a much needed game where they can get a win, start their season now. Those first 2 games are always going to be difficult, especially Arsenal away and Chelsea. There was a little bit of just unpredictability about how they were going to perform because, they were beaten by Manchester City, but they're the best team in the world, arguably. So, you can't really, rate them just off that game. But they came to Molineux at the weekend, Chelsea, and were just so ruthless, especially that second half with Madueke with the hat-trick. But for this game, Wolves have got to look at this as just a confidence booster, trying to get a win, and just, like I said, start their season now. Start the season today. Pick up a win today, go to the weekend, try and win away at Forest. Then there's an international break. They have a couple of weeks off, just reset and then go again after the international break, where they've got Newcastle at home and Aston Villa away. It's not the easiest of fixtures, it must be said, for Wolves, but they've got to look at this game of getting a win. If they lose again tonight, I know it's the League Cup and it probably won't be, something they'll be looking at winning this season. Wolves, again, I think they'll be looking at staying up, especially with the players they've lost in terms of having to sell players. But it's not a must win, obviously, but I do think a win is needed just for confidence. And for Burnley, again, I don't think they'll have any interest in this competition, really. It's probably just to get some minutes in the players' legs who haven't really featured in the first 3 games of the season. If they are to have a run and they go through, I don't think Scott Parker will complain. I think he'll just see it as another opportunity to, try and get squad players minutes and, see how far they can go. But obviously, for Burnley, their main objective is to go straight back up to the Premier League. So we've got a few of you already in the chat. Hello, I hope everyone is ready for this game. Kickoff in about 7 minutes' time. If you have got any score predictions, do put them in the chat and just let me know what you think this game is going to end. What do you think about Hannibal? I think it's a really good signing. I really like the style of play he has. The couple of times he played for Manchester United, he seemed, really aggressive and, wanted to win the ball back as quickly as possible. I just think he's got that mindset that I think works in the Championship. You can't have your foot off the gas in this division. You've got to be on it, and Hannibal will bring that aggressive press. He's already got Championship experience as well. He spent the season out on loan at Birmingham 2 seasons ago, so he'll know exactly what this division is about, which is also good for him. The fact he comes to Burnley with a little bit of experience of playing in this division. He's been thrown straight in as well. He was announced as a signing today from Manchester United, but the move has been spoken about. The word of the move started last week, so it was just announced today though that he is there signing. It's not the longest of journeys for Burnley. Of course, it's still like this. These draws were done northern and southern, so it's 3 hours round trip by train. Doing my research, so an hour and a half there, and an hour and a half back, if they were going by train. But again, I don't think the 2 sets of supporters will necessarily mind the result. I mean, I think they'll be more bothered about the performance. Like I say, if Wolves don't win again, 3 losses to start the season, it's not great, but I don't think they'll care too much about the League Cup. And then for Burnley, they want to try and bounce back from their defeat at the weekend, because for Burnley, it's just a little bit messy at the moment. I mean, players leaving in, high amounts. Tonight they've not got Bayer, Ekdal, Vitinho, Koleosho, Tresor, Benson, Redmond, Amdouni, Veghorst. They're players who are still technically at the club, but looking likely to maybe move on. Already in this transfer window, Burnley have lost the likes of Muric, Odeber, Berger, O'Shea, Zaroury, Twine, Peacock, Farrell, Bastian, Goodmanson, Vigouroux. Not all of them are first teamers, but and then they released Charlie Taylor and Jack Cork. They've loaned Obafemi to Plymouth and Wayne Rooney. So there's just so much change, players coming in and mainly players going out for Burnley that I think Scott Parker will be delighted when this transfer window slams shut in a couple of days' time, because we commentated on the game against Luton, their first game, when they were full strength and not many players had left. And they did look really good, but of course a lot of those players are not wanting to spend a season in the Championship, because a lot of them are getting moves, higher up into the top divisions in Europe. For Muric and O'Shea, they've both gone to Ipswich. Lyle Foster on the bench tonight for Burnley. He's linked with a move away to Ipswich as well. And then you've got the likes of Sander Berger, who's gone to Fulham. Odeber went to Spurs. And then Twine's gone to Bristol in the Championship for game time. Peacock Farrell's gone down to League One, I believe, with Birmingham. So they just need this window to shut. Scott Parker needs to just look at his squad, see what he's left with, and then move from there. At the minute, it's just so unpredictable, like who he can choose, who he can select, because these two teams last met at the start of April in the 1-1 draw at Turf Moor. And out of that starting 11, none of the players are starting this game, just two of them on the bench, Esteve and Lyle Foster. They started that last game against Wolves and they're on the bench tonight. So, again, it's just absolutely crazy what's going on at Burnley at the moment. I was seeing some of the unrest on Twitter with their supporters just not understanding why they are letting so many players go. Like, it's not just, 3 or 4 who probably deserve to play at a high level. They're losing 10, 11 players at this rate, and that's a lot to replace, especially in a division like the Championship where, you are left behind. If you're not up to speed and you do not have the right squad assembled, you will not have a successful season in the Championship. It's as simple as that. We'll start with the two lineups anyway, and we'll start with the Wolves lineup, who have just got one survivor from the starting 11 against Chelsea at the weekend. It's Dan Bentley in goal, who had interest from Arsenal this summer. He's already spent time at Arsenal in their academy. And the back four, a new signing from Brazil, the second tier, and that is 18-year-old Pedro Lima. And on the left-hand side, the only starter who starts tonight against Chelsea, that is Ryan Ait-Nouri. And then two centre-halves of Santiago Bueno and Craig Dawson. Two holding midfielders of Tommy Doyle, who they have made a permanent signing this summer for £4.3 million. And alongside him will be Boubacar Traoré. And three behind the striker on the right will be Pablo Sarabia. On the left will be Chiquinho in behind the striker. He spent last season on loan at Olympiacos, winning the Conference League, and that is Daniel Pedence. And up front through the middle, a man they brought in 2 seasons ago for £27.5 million, and that is Gonçalo Guedes, who plays up front there, number 29. He spent time he went on loan at Benfica last season for the first half of the season. He spent time at Benfica during his academy days. So he's getting a start. He might be on the way out maybe in the next couple of days. And for Burnley, they have got 5 starters tonight who started that game at the weekend against Sunderland. In goal, there is a change, and that is going to be for Haladki in goal, who they brought in on a free from Ipswich. He was promoted last season with Ipswich, and he's made his move back down to this division to join Burnley. A back 5, it looks like, of Shirandi Samba, who they brought in on a free from PSV. On the left-hand side of the wing-backs will be Bashir Humphreys, who's on a loan spell here from Chelsea. 3 centre-halves of CJ Egan-Riley, new signing Joe Worrell from Nottingham Forest, and Luke McNally as well, with 3 central midfielders of Josh Brownhill, new signed today, Hannibal Medbury, and Han Noah Mesengo, with 2 up front of Jay Rodriguez, who's looking for his 75th Burnley goal, and alongside him is another new signing brought from Caen in France for £3.4 million, and that is Andreas Untunji, the 22-year-old striker who has signed a 4-year deal here at Burnley. As we're about to get kick-off here at Molineux, not exactly sold out, but there is a decent number of fans here. It can hold just over 32,000. I don't think we'll get anywhere near that. There's a lot of empty seats, but, again, not really a fixture that has sparked the interest of the fans It's only the second round. I don't think these two clubs have got the League Cup on their mind in terms of trying to be successful. But if a successful run comes, I don't think they'll back down from it. As we're going to have a Burnley kick-off, kicking left to right, Wolves right to left. We're waiting for the referee's whistle here of Josh Smith. As when these two sides met last season here at Molineux, it was a Wolves win, 1-0. Hwang Hee-chan with the goal, assisted by Cunha right before the half-time whistle. Hwang Hee-chan is on the bench tonight. For Wolves, they've got quite a lot of first-team quality on the bench if they require it. Wolves, and for Burnley, they've got a lot of youngsters just filling out their squad because they are currently losing so many first-team players to transferring away from the club due to that relegation last season. As we get the referee's whistle, the ball's played back to the Burnley goalkeeper of Haladki. Sends it long down the left-hand side for Jay Rodriguez. He loses that header. Drops to the halfway line, though, here towards McNally. Strong challenge from Brownhill. It's now dropped for Wolves to Aït-Nouri, just taking it away from Masengo. And on the edge of the 18-yard box, it's Wolves on the ball with Craig Dawson, who is making his first start of the season. As Wolves have it in the midfield, midway inside their own half here with Tommy Doyle. High ball out to the left there, looking for Chiquinho, and they find him. Can't quite control it, though, on that left-hand side, and it will bounce out for a Burnley throw-in. Starting on the left wing tonight, Chiquinho, number 23 for Wolves, 24 years of age, joined back in January of 2022. Had a bit of a failed loan spell at the start of last season with Stoke, and then went out to the Portuguese league, scored 5 goals, got a bit more game time in the second half of last season, and it looks like Gary O'Neill might keep him around the squad, as Burnley have worked it from the right-hand side to the left here in the final third, but plenty of orange shirts back for Wolves as Burnley have been forced to go backwards here. It's with their new number 4, Joe Worrell, brought in from Nottingham Forest. It's a ball out to Egan Riley, who plays it forward to Jay Rodriguez. Tries to work it out to the right to Hannibal. His pass intercepts off Aït-Nouri. Bounces out to the halfway line to McNally, whose pass takes a slight nick off Chiquinho. And it will be a throw for Burnley, midway inside the Wolves half, on this near side. It's already back with the right back, Egan Riley. Interesting story. These two managers have worked with each other. Gary O'Neill was Scott Parker's assistant at Bournemouth until he was sacked at Bournemouth, and O'Neill took over as a caretaker and then got the job permanently himself. So these two are very familiar with each other, not just in tactically with football, but personally as well. It does look like Gary O'Neill's got the better job. Well, you could say that. They're in the higher league, isn't it? But both still managing at a high level. It's Burnley still on the ball, midway side their own half here with the number 34 of Luke McNally. He goes into the centre circle to find a drop in Rodriguez. Worked now out to the right wing here. Played down the line to the run of Hannibal. Found by Untunji, who wants the return in the area. Aït-Nouri slides in and takes it away from him. And Tommy Doyle will bring it forward away from the 18-yard box. Trying to play it over the top and out wide to the right-hand side there for Gerges. But it can't quite be kept in. It's just behind the Portuguese forward. And it goes out for another Burnley throw-in. Just over 2.5 minutes in. Still no shots on goal here in this League Cup second round tie between Wolves and Burnley. And whoever goes through will be number 32 in the draw that I believe takes place after the Newcastle game, which kicks off at 8. So that'll be around, I'm presuming around 10 o'clock, 10:30, that draw. As there is Gary O'Neill trying to get his team into this game, as it's Burnley who have just enjoyed the opening spells of possessions. Craig Dawson's pass deflects there off Untunji and into the hands of the goalkeeper, Dan Bentley. Couldn't quite control it there. Burnley's new number 37. Can play anywhere across the front three. He is usually a striker, but can play on the left wing and the right wing. Looks like he might be playing on the right wing tonight. As Wolves play out from the back, and their goalkeeper Bentley going to the left centre half here of Craig Dawson, who's never scored in the League Cup. This is his 22nd appearance in the competition. So Pedence has a touch that is loose, and it's picked up by Brownhill on the edge of the area. It's Rodriguez facing away from goals. He plays it to Masengo, who brings it out to the Burnley left. As they look to try and get it in the box if they can, the cross goes in, and it's a header away there by Bueno for the Wolves. Straight back to Brownhill, so Wolves can keep it in the Wolves half here. Good start from the travelling team. It's played inside to Brownhill, picks up a nice bit of space. Rodriguez is in the area making the run, can't be found by Brownhill. Intercepted by Bueno, who gets it down on the deck to Pedence. Tries to go to Traore, but he's been pickpocketed from behind there. Burnley restart at the back with McNally. Good start here from Scott Parker's side. As McNally goes forward here to Hannibal. It's near side to Untunji. Going to try and go around. Nori gets a low cross into the area, nowhere near Jay Rodriguez. Dealt with by Dawson, finding Doyle. Now Traore being hunted down there, and he's played the ball out for a Burnley throw-in. Good pressing there by Masengo. It's a very hard-working midfield they've got starting tonight. It must be said for Burnley. Brownhill, Hannibal, and Masengo as well. As Burnley play it down the left-hand side here. It's going to be given chase too, but it'll go into the gloves of the goalkeeper of Dan Bentley. He rolls it out to Craig Dawson. Now back to the goalkeeper, Dan Bentley. Yeah, Arsenal bidded for Dan Bentley because they wanted him as their number 3 goalkeeper. They bidded £50,000 and Wolves said no. Came through Arsenal's academy. Dan Bentley, born in Basildon in Essex. And nearly a return to Arsenal, but Wolves said no, as Wolves are having their first look at goal here. Building in Burnley's half. It's with Nori on this near side. He's now left it for Tommy Doyle. Goes to the halfway line to Craig Dawson. Wanderers, can I ask a question, please? You can sure ask a question. If anyone's got any score predictions in the chat, make sure you put them in. I want to know what you guys think this game will end. As it's Santiago Bueno, try to switch it out to the left, but no one's there. And in the defensive third for Burnley, in a right-back position, they've got themselves a throw-in. I've definitely seen better crossfield passes there. Not the best of finds by Santiago Bueno, who came in last season for £8.5 million from Girona. Because you've got to remember, Lopetegui left Wolves quite late at the start of last season, so O'Neill had no signings of his own in the summer. So he kind of had to deal with what he was given. So Santiago Bueno is definitely not a Gary O'Neill signing for me, because Santiago Bueno, quite tall, not very quick, but gives him the odd game here and there in the cup mainly. Throw in for Burnley. It's on the halfway line with Untunji. Works out to the left-hand side here, as we're going to have a run at goal. There's a run being made by Masengo. Will not be used. And it'll be Sambo instead. Eventually used. Gets it to Masengo. Back into Sambo, who's taking a position up on the left-hand side here. He's labelled as a right-back, but clearly doing a job on the left-hand side here. As Worrell, midway inside the Burnley half, forced to go back to the goalkeeper, Haladki. Slowly being closed down by Pedence. Lifts the ball up towards the centre circle. Can't find Rodriguez. Headed forward by Bueno. And Gerges' touch just gets away from him. And Burnley have it back now. So it's Hannibal. Untunji making a run down the right-hand side. He waits for the ball to come to him. And Nori gets in there first. Takes the ball out of his path. And Wolves have it back on the edge of the 18-yard box. Whereas the top 6, any team that qualify for Europe do not get involved in the League Cup until the 3rd round. So that's why there's no teams out of the top 6 playing tonight. Wolves will win to avenge the loss against Chelsea. Well, they definitely need to have some sort of reaction, even though only one of the 11 players who started against Chelsea start tonight, and that's Ryan Nori. 3-2 to Burnley. I'm messing around. I've sold every play this week, but I'll sell the ground next week. I shouldn't laugh, and it is funny because, like I said it before, I've been checking Burnley's Twitter, not their official Twitter, just Burnley Twitter, and the reaction of the fans at the moment, seriously not happy. Of course, losing at the weekend, but the starting 11 was, just completely different to that of what started against Luton on the first game week, selling so many players and of such high quality. It is looking a little bit bleak for Burnley at the moment, as they've got to defend here with Gerges in the box, controlling it and shooting towards goal. The first shot blocked, his second one also blocked, but still with him on the right-hand side. Gerges getting away from Sambo, working across towards the box, but it's gone onto the roof of the net instead, and out for a Burnley goal kick, trying to get a goal to his name. Gonzalo Gerges. He's got 2 goals for Wolves in the 18 games he's played for them, and his only home goal came against Brighton back in November 2022. Gonzalo Gerges spent the first half of the season on loan at Benfica, didn't score, then went out on loan to Villarreal and scored 3 in La Liga. 2-0 to Wolves. No way Wolves going to lose. I'm not too sure. This Wolves team have probably never actually played with each other. A lot of them won't recognise each other's game as much. No, they train daily, but a lot of these Wolves players have been on loan last season, or fringe-like players. But 9 minutes in, Again, still no real opportunities at goal, no goalkeeper tested. Craig Dawson's going to try and catch out the goalkeeper of Hladky. He goes for the strike from in his own half, and that will sail wide and over the crossbar. Not the worst of attempts there by Craig Dawson, who's trying his best from afar, because Hladky was out of his area. Literally just inside his own half, and Hladky was just stood on the edge of his 18-yard box. And if that was on target, then Craig Dawson's certainly asking the question. Tonight's captain for Wolves, and that is Craig Dawson, as Burnley go long out to the right-hand side towards Ntunji. Works it to Rodriguez, tried to get it back to Ntunji, but the header away from Aït-Nouri gives Burnley possession in their own half with a throw-in, taken quickly by their number 6 of CJ Egan-Riley. It's now with the goalkeeper Hladky, being closed down here by Gerges. Lifts it out to the right to Egan-Riley, who tries to head it away from Chiquinho, but he loses out to the Wolves number 23, plays it inside. Great touch from Pedence. Tries to get it out wide right there to Gerges, but it's given away by the Wolves number 21 of Sarabia, sorry, not Pedence, that's Sarabia. And Burnley attack down the left-hand side here with Sambo in the final third. Goes around the outside of the Wolves defender and puts a low ball into the area, but straight to Tommy Doyle, who gets rid of it, plays it forward to Daniel Pedence, the Conference League winner last season, whilst on loan at Olympiacos. Spreads it out to the right wing here to Gerges, who gets it in space. He's one-on-one with Worrell as he enters the 18-yard box and puts a low ball in himself. Can't quite reach Sarabia into the arms of Hladky. And this game just starting to open up a little bit. More chances flowing. Again, no shots at goal, but both sides finding their way into each other's 18-yard area. Apparently players initiating the company leaves clause. Not sure if it's true. That's a good point. Possibly. Maybe. Yeah, but... Yeah, no. I don't know. I just think it just... That the sheer amount of players leaving, it just seems a little bit bizarre that that's just because they were relegated. Because at the end of the day, they're contracted at Burnley. So they have every right to say, look, you're contracted with us. You've got to stay. And help us get back up. So it could be something to do with that, maybe. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's definitely a big mess at the moment for Scott Parker, even though they have won 2 of their first 3 games in the Championship so far this season. The first 2 winning 4-1 away at Luton, which we commentated on. They were absolutely brilliant. Then they followed that up with a 5-0 home win against Cardiff, and then losing at the weekend 1-0 to Sunderland. Just the one goal it took. Mundle with it for Sunderland, even though Sunderland were down to 10 men for the last 5 minutes of the game. Wolves will score before the first half ends. We'll have to wait and see. They've got a free kick here, left-hand side, towards this near touchline where it will be crossed in by Pablo Sarabia. The ball is delivered in towards the far post, and it's connected on the 6-yard line by Traore, but he sends it high and wide. And away it goes for a Burnley goal kick. It's a great ball in by Sarabia. We know he's got a good left foot and a good cross. And he's just going towards that far post. And Traore just getting away from Rodriguez, getting in front of the Burnley number 9. But sending it high and wide as Boubacar Traore searching for just his second Wolves goal. His only other Wolves goal for Traore came in the League Cup back in September 2022 against Leeds in the 3rd round. There's Burnley apart from the back. Hladky finding Worrell, being closed down quickly, and he tries to put a ball across the box here. It's a high one to McNally. He'll get there ahead of Chiquinho, but Chiquinho's in there, takes it off McNally, and just about keeps it in on the corner flag, but McNally wins it back, but the clearance is poor. But the ball had, in fact, actually gone out of play on Chiquinho, and that'll be a Burnley goal kick. 13 minutes in here. We're actually 13 minutes and 50 seconds in. Because I am watching this on a stream on Sky, so it can be a little bit buffery at times. So Hladky sends the goal kick long for Burnley into the Wolves half. Craig Dawson wins the header strong, picked up by Brownhill, heads it forward for Burnley. It'll given chase to here by Hannibal. Aït-Nouri will beat him to it at left back for Wolves in the defensive third. He plays it forward beautifully in between the lines for Doyle. Goes back to the edge of the area to Craig Dawson, and a quick ball out to that far side here for Pedro Lima, their new young Brazilian right back. It's now on the halfway line with Traore, going back to Dawson. To his left to Aït-Nouri, still in the Wolves half at the moment. Doyle Into the Burnley half with ball to the left to Sarabia. Into the space for Gerges, who gets it away from Worrell. Turns away from him and plays it to his right to Pedence, who's on the edge of the area and he's going to go for the shots. It's saved by Hladky twice onto the post and cleared by Worrell. So close for Pedence, bending it into that far right corner. He saved it and the rebound was put towards goal by Pedro Lima. And Hladky got there a second time and put that final attempt onto the post. Good hold-up play up front there by Gerges. Turned away from Worrell and played it to his right to Pedence. Almost bending it into that bottom right corner. But Hladky saved it, pushing it straight towards Pedro Lima, whose shot was saved onto the post and Worrell cleared it for a corner. So just over 15 minutes in here. Still Wolves 0, Burnley 0. Wolves getting the closest so far. Goes short from the corner. It's now Doyle on the near side, trying to find the edge of the area. Cut out, but it bounces to Pedence, so it can still be alive here for Wolves. Pedence finding Doyle, who will cross it in. It's a deep one. Hladky comes for it and catches it very calmly there. The Czech goalkeeper once played for their under-20s, but now at the age of 33. Hladky. Burnley have it on the edge of the area with Worrell going to the goalkeeper. Hladky to his right to McNally. To the right, towards the right back position to Untunji. Touches it inside here. And Burnley are dispossessed by Wolves. And Pedence will shoot again from the edge of the area. Blocked, drops back out to Doyle. Goes down the line to Chiquinho, who will keep it in on this near side. And crosses with the right boot. It's an inviting ball in. But it curls behind for a goal kick. Well seen out there by Bashir Humphreys, the man on loan this season at Burnley from Chelsea. Just being caught out of possession there, Egan Riley for Burnley, which gave Wolves that little opening. And for Scott Parker, he has taken on Wolves 3 times in his managerial career, and he's lost each of those 3 times. All 1-0 as well, interestingly enough. As Bentley for Wolves sends it out to the right towards Lima, who controls it on the halfway line. Turns back towards his own goal and finds the pass to Sarabia. Will Burnley find this in the Wolves team if they can? In the director's box, Wolves sold their best players. They should not have. Well, I mean, again, a lot of that comes to financial fair play. The fact that Wolves have had to sell their 2 best players of Max Kilman and Pedro Neto. You know, Pedro Neto assisting at the weekend for Chelsea here against Wolves, which would have been a bit of a kick in the teeth for the home side. As Burnley have got in their midfield, just inside their own half. They're going to go for a switch out to the left-hand side, and they're going to find Sharandi Sambo, who's tackled there by Lima. Cleared forward, straight back to Burnley, though, in their own half. It's now with the number 8, Brownhill, who scored in that opening weekend win at Luton. Also scored against Cardiff the game after as well. Josh Brownhill, who started at Manchester United's academy before moving on to the likes of Preston and Bristol City before his move to Burnley. It's on the halfway line. It's Egan Riley dropping into a midfield role there, the centre half, but his pass is intercepted and it's now back with Wolves with Bentley on the edge of the 18-yard box, going to his left to Craig Dawson, being closed down here, goes to his left again to Aït-Nouri. Now to the goalkeeper in the 6-yard area, being closed down by Hannibal. Bueno, back to Bentley. Hannibal still pressing here. Bentley goes to the left centre half of Craig Dawson. Looks for the left winger of Chiquinho and finds him. Plenty of time for him as Aït-Nouri will now bring the ball forward. Being ushered on by Gary O'Neill on this touchline. Slows it down though. Ryan Aït-Nouri, an Algerian fullback. And it's now switched out to the right hand side after a couple of passes. It's now with the right back of Pedro Lima. Brought in from the Brazilian second tier for £8.5 million. Turned 18 at the start of July, signing a 5-year deal here at Wolves. As they've now got it to the left-hand side to Sarabia. Going to go for a low ball in towards the edge of the area. Finds Pedence, first-time touch to Doyle. 25 yards out, he's going to go for a long-range strike over the bar by the former Manchester City player. Not testing Hladky that time around. Scored once last season for Wolves, and it was an absolute beauty away at Brentford in the FA Cup 3rd round. That game ended up going to a replay. And Wolves end up going through. Tommy Doyle, now 22 years of age, was once of the England under-21s team and was quite regular in that for a couple of years. It's now Burnley attack down the left-hand side. It's now with Masengo. Found Hannibal on the left wing. He's got Sambo overlapping, but they've just slowed it down here, Burnley. And the ball's been played back to Humphries. And back forward again. Sambo into Hannibal on that left-hand side, just outside the 18-yard area. Plays it to Sambo. Back to Brownhill, trying to return it to Sambo. It's a great ball in the area, tries to pull back. There's a slide challenge from Lima. Doesn't quite do the job, though, as Sambo has a shot towards goal, blocked by Dawson. Still alive in the box for Burnley. Hannibal almost running out of play, but tackled by Lima, who clears it off on Tunji. And that'll be a throw-in for Wolves right next to the corner flag on that far side. Not the worst of attacks there by Burnley. Hannibal looking very lively on his Burnley debut. He was announced today as a Burnley player. Hannibal Mejbri, who started once last season in the Premier League for Manchester United. And his only start was away at Burnley. And he scored as well the game before in a 3-1 home loss to Brighton, before going out on loan to Sevilla, where that didn't really pan out for him. Only started once for the Spanish side on loan, the Tunisian midfielder. How are you watching the game? I'm watching it on Sky Sports Plus, if you were interested. As again, Burnley have it in their own half, far side, with Sambo down the line for Masengo, just a bit too far in front of him. It was picked up here for Wolves by Boubacar Traore. Back to Bentley, just about working it to the goalkeeper before the press of Rodriguez. It's now Craig Dawson leaving it for Aït-Nouri. Bentley's just making his way back to his goal. Dawson has it in the 18-yard area. Out to the right to Santiago Bueno. To the right back, Lima. Tries to get it around the corner. Deflects off a Burnley player. Straight to Traore, who's battling with Rodriguez. And Jay Rodriguez will take that off him. And he'll play it back here to Masengo. Lifting it to Hannibal. Lays it off for Brownhill. Fakes the first shot, but can't find the next pass. And now Doyle works it forward to Pedence. Sarabia keeping it away from Brownhill. Going back forward to Pedence. Chiquinho's to his left. Gerges is to the right. He'll find Chiquinho. One-on-one with Egan Riley. Into the box on the outside. On his left foot he strikes it. Saved at the near post by Haladki. Drops straight back to Chiquinho. It goes to Aït-Nouri. Another save forced upon the Burnley number 32. Made to make 3 saves now. It's out to the far side. Sarabia wanting some movement, but going back to the halfway line to Santiago Bueno, who spent just over 2 years at Barcelona before moving on in his career to Girona, where he was promoted from the second tier of Spanish football up to the first. Aït-Nouri forced to go back to Tommy Doyle. Crossfield ball by Dawson, brought down by Sarabia in the final third. 1-on-1 with Sambo. Goes down the line here for Lima, the right back. Can't quite be found in the box as he's been tackled by Humphries, who on the ball in the left back position will clear it long for Burnley up to the halfway line. Straight to Craig Dawson, who will have time on the ball here. And he'll go back to Dan Bentley, the goalkeeper, who's midway inside the Wolves half. Just less than 23 minutes in. Still Wolves 0, Burnley 0. Pretty even game so far. Possibly Wolves looking more dangerous when they've got it, forcing a few more shots on goal, but I think the possession will be pretty even in the opening 23 minutes of this game. Just Wolves are the ones forcing the shots at goal and forcing Haladki into vital saves. Just inside the Burnley half, this near side is number 10, Daniel Pedence. Laying it off for Aït-Nouri just behind him. Then back into Craig Dawson, who played in the Olympics in 2012 for Great Britain, as the 2024 Olympics obviously just come to an end. As Lima for Wolves on that right-hand side just loses the battle with Sambo, and the last touch comes off the new Wolves right back. So it'll be a Burnley throw-in. Is going to show a replay of that Chiquinho chance. Just a couple of step overs and onto his left foot with the shot to the near post, saved by Haladki. Wasn't the best of defending there by CJ Egan Riley, former England under-19 international. Came through at Manchester City before leaving 2 years ago to join Burnley on a free. Just checking as my Sky Sports Plus isn't working. Yeah, it's just on the Plus. All the League Cup games tonight are on that Sky Sports Plus. So that's why I'm watching it on at the moment. So Burnley have the ball on the halfway line with Luke McNally, their centre-half. Out to this near side to Egan Riley. Forward to Untunji. Can't quite get away from Aït-Nouri with a flick. And it's out of play for a Burnley throw-in, right next to Gary O'Neill, well, right in front of Gary O'Neill in his technical area. 41 years of age, Gary O'Neill, brought in after being sacked very unfairly, a lot of people said, and rightly so, from Bournemouth. They've now got it to the left-hand side. Masengo finding Sambo, one-on-one with Lima. Onto his stronger right foot and putting a cross into the area, headed away by Bueno, back to where it came from, where Lima wins the first header and Sarabia kicks it forward towards Chiquinho, loses out to Worrell, who heads it forward nicely. Now inside into the centre of the park to Hannibal, bursts away from Doyle, lays it off to his left to Sambo, no one in the area for Burnley. I think is where they're struggling to get their shots away at the moment. This is Brownhill, just towards the left-hand side for Burnley. Goes forward to Hannibal. It's now Sambo. Lima with a good tackle, and he gets the last touch off the Burnley man. And it's a Wolves throw-in. Well, won there by Pedro Lima, who played in Brazil's under-17s World Cup last year in 2023, crashing out at the quarterfinals to Argentina. This is his first ever club away from Brazil for Pedro Lima, aged 18, so a big move for him to come into Wolves. As Aït-Nouri, nice 1-2 with Pedence, and Aït-Nouri will charge forward towards the edge of the area. Aït-Nouri will keep going, nice footwork to get away from Worrell, and Aït-Nouri shoots, and it's a great block over the crossbar. It was either a block by McNally or a save by Hladky, but that's a storming run from Aït-Nouri. Just no one in a Burnley shirt stopping him. Untunji was chasing him from behind, and Aït-Nouri went to run at Worrell and just took him on like he wasn't even there. And then a shot from 12 yards out, right next to the penalty spot, was put over the top via a deflection. Probably should have scored there, Aït-Nouri. I know he was on his weaker right foot, but he does have that in the locker, the Algerian. He's got 7 goals in his Wolves career so far. And he has scored once against Burnley before, and that was in that 1-1 draw last season. As at the minute, it's Hladky who's down at the moment for Burnley. Worrying sign for the 33-year-old. He's played over 100 times in the English leagues, playing at the likes of Salford and, of course, very successfully Ipswich, getting promotion last year. I need to see another replay of that. I'm not quite sure if it was a McNally block, because he just did a huge slide tackle across to try and block the Aït-Nouri shot, or if it did come off Hladky, or if maybe they collided together, the two Burnley players. I'm not too sure. The substitute goalkeeper tonight for Burnley is Etienne Green, who they brought from Saint Etienne. I know, crazy. His first name is the same as the club he joined from. He's coming as a third-choice keeper, maybe becoming a second-choice keeper if James Trafford does move on before the end of the transfer window. Here's the Aït-Nouri run, just no one going towards him. And Worrell tried to tackle him on the edge of the area, but just went past him too easily. And I think it's a save from Hladky. And I think as he went down to save it, the ball's hit his leg. And as he was in a position to save, it's hit his leg, and his leg just was in a bit of an awkward position. So as the weight of the ball hit his leg, it's just jolted it slightly and has just caused Hladky a little bit of pain. He's been treated, and it looks like he'll be okay to continue, but Burnley have got to be better defensively when they've got attacking players running at them, because they can't just let them run at goal and have a free shot, which pretty much Aït-Nouri had there. Is this game on Sky Sports Plus? Yes, it is. I mean, I'd love you all to stay and listen to my commentary, but yeah, that is when the game is being shown. But if you are new, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. We've got another commentary coming this weekend on Saturday, 5:30. West Ham against Manchester City, and then on Monday we've got Salford against MK Dons as well from League 2. So Hladky's okay to continue. We're going to get a Wolves corner from the far side. It's going to be directly swung in here by the left boot of Sarabia, who's already put a few good balls into the box, and he'll do the same again. It's an in-swinger towards the goalkeeper, who gets the strong punch out, and it drops to the edge of the area to Hannibal. Lifts it down the left-hand side here. Masengo will chase it. Aït-Nouri's last back for Wolves, and he will get there first, and goes back to the goalkeeper of Dan Bentley, who's just got 1 year left on his contract here at Wolves, brought in January 2023 from Bristol City in the Championship. Started 3 times last season in the Premier League. There's Bueno round the right-hand side, round the corner. It'll be given chase to by Lima, but too close to Worrell, and he'll go back to the goalkeeper of Hladky. Being closed down by Gerges, clears it first time. Hladky, not the most convincing of clearances, but does drop to Masengo. Then out to the far side. He tried to get to the far side to a Burnley man, but it's picked up by Lima, and it's now in the Wolves half with Craig Dawson. With Doyle, everyone in front of him in terms of Burnley players. They're all camped just inside their own half at the moment. The Clarets. Santiago Bueno, out to the right back Lima. Having to go into his own half to Dawson. Back out wide to Lima. Decent pressing from Burnley as Lima tries to get it over the top here for Gerges, who will give chase to this ball. Worrell slides in, gets to the ball first, and that'll be a throw-in for Wolves in the final third. Gerges stays down here at the moment, the Wolves number 29. But Worrell certainly got the ball first. Great signing for Burnley as well, bringing in Joe Worrell from Nottingham Forest. Spent the second half of last season out on loan at Besiktas, which was a bit of a strange loan, but I'm sure it was a great experience for the 27-year-old, who's also had a loan spell earlier on his career at Rangers. So back underway, Chiquinho at the left wing for Wolves, low ball into the box, stopped at the near post by McNally, and off his leg it drops to Untunji, out wide for Burnley, sliding challenge in from Sarabia. That's a brilliant challenge, but couldn't quite keep it under control, and Burnley try and play out from the back on the right-hand side. Brownhill lifting it up towards Untunji, who will try and beat Doyle to it. Doyle wins the first header, but straight to Hannibal it goes. And then Doyle gets the tackle back in and wins it back for Wolves. Ignore it. Chiquinho making a run off the ball. He tries to find him. Cut out, though, by Egan Riley. Played into the midfield now to Masengo. Just nudged off balance. Free kick given by the referee, Josh Smith. Played quickly by Masengo into J. Rodriguez, who's in the centre circle. Looking out to the left-hand side and bringing in Sambo, who's running at Lima. Humphreys is joining the attack. Sambo cuts onto his right foot and delivers it in. But the run from Rodriguez just a little too late. Goes beyond him and bounces into the gloves of the goalkeeper of Dan Bentley. Sitting here in West France, enjoying your commentary. Thank you very much, Stefan. I hope everyone is enjoying the live commentary here. We're just over 31 minutes in, and it's Wolves 0, Burnley 0. Wolves certainly having more chances at goal, more shots, and making, Haladki make plenty of saves. So Dan Bentley for Wolves sends it long up towards Pedenson through the middle. But it's kind of in between both. Pedence and Gerges were both up there for Wolves. And it's kind of gone right in between them. And straight through to the goalkeeper of Haladki as Burnley can play out from the back here. As these two teams have met 4 times previously in this competition. 2 Wolves wins, a draw and a Burnley win. The draw was back in August 1979. And Wolves went on and won the replay of that one. Wolves have also won in October 2003. And the one Burnley win against Wolves in this competition was back in September 2004. It was a home win on penalties. So not met in this competition for almost 20 years. These two sides, of course, met last season in the Premier League, where they were separated in the end by 22 points. Wolves finishing on 46 and Burnley on 24. Burnley lost 24 games last season, only winning 5 of the 38 in the league. And in all competitions, they lost the 26, crashing out of the FA Cup to Spurs and the League Cup to Everton. Sorry, just got a bit of a technical difficulty with my stream. Let me just give it a quick reset. But if everyone could like and subscribe if you haven't already, that would really help grow the channel out as best possible. As down the right-hand side here, Wolves attack in the final third. It's a Sarabia getting onto that left foot, lifting it to the edge of the area to Pedence, who can control it, but surrounded by Burnley shirts, and he's tackled. Drops to Rodriguez, who gives it straight away to Ignore it. Now Doyle just in front of the centre circle and quickly works it out to that right-hand side against the Sarabia. Plays it into the box for the runner Lima, but he won't quite get there. Just overhit by Sarabia and into the gloves of Haladki. Not the worst of attempts there by Pablo Sarabia, who collected 3 assists in Wolves' last League Cup second round fixture. It was a 5-0 win at home to Blackpool, and Sarabia assisted 3 times. Formerly of PSG, where he was brought from. Sarabia, as Burnley go along down the right hand side, they'll be given chase to by Andreas Untunji, but it just bounces out of play, couldn't quite get there. And in the left back position, it's a Wolves throw-in with Aït-Nouri. Never beaten Burnley in his career. They've only won 2 of the last 14 against Burnley, Wolves. And they were at home in December 2023 last season, and then all the way back in September 2018. So it's definitely a fixture that Burnley prefer in recent times anyway. But they have only beaten them once in the last 6 away from home. And that was a 4-0 win during the lockdown times in April 2021. Just over 10 minutes left here Still, out of the first half, still 0-0. Wolves just kicking the ball out of play there, looking for Lima, the right back, but again, overhit, couldn't quite keep it in play. And again, Burnley, build out from the back edge of the area. McNally, being closed down by Pedence, clears it up towards by Hannibal. Tried to dummy it and play it around Dawson, but he read it and stood firm and blocked the ball going in behind. And Wolves have it in the centre circle here. Sarabia, pulled back by Masengo. And that'll be a free kick for Wolves. I'm quite surprised that isn't a booking for Burnley's number 42, former France under-21s international. Spent 4 years at Bristol City. Masengo, so plenty of championship experience. Happy to have got 30 minutes without conceding a goal. Not sure how, but come on, Burnley. Again, thanks to your goalkeeper, really. You know, Burnley have looked okay on the ball. They're just not really creating a lot of opportunities. And for Wolves, when they do have the ball, they're looking good going forward. But again, Haladki's just made a lot of really good saves so far. Great commentary, accurate facts too. Thank you very much. Hope everyone is enjoying. Like I say, liking and subscribing just really helps grow the channel out, get it as big as possible. So that is very much appreciated. As last season, Wolves were knocked out in the third round of this competition by Ipswich away from home. Quite a frustrating defeat, actually, in the end for Wolves, because they were 2-0 up in 15 minutes, but then lost 3-2 away at Ipswich. And then for Burnley, they reached the fourth round, but were beaten 3-0 away from home by Everton. Like I say, they've been knocked out of the fourth round in each of the last 4 seasons, Burnley. So it seems like that's like their go-to round to be knocked out at. It's like they win a few games in it and think, we'll just focus on the league this time. As Pedence from afar has a shot blocked. Traore works it to the left of Doyle. Into the box for Gerges, cut out though by Worrell. Gerges stopped his run, and it goes into the hands there of Haladki as Worrell's clear. It bounces off Chiquinho. You can just tell that this Wolves attack haven't played as often with each other. You can see that just some of the balls here are just not quite finding the right people because the right runs aren't being made at the right times. As Burnley go long up towards Untunji, chested down by Dawson. He was trying to be found there by Hannibal. Now Wolves on this near side, halfway line. Tommy Doyle, loads of time on the ball. No one in the Burnley shirt going anywhere near him. And he runs across the halfway line and plays it to his right to Bueno. He's got Lima, the right back, the only one in obvious support, and he'll use him, and he'll get the return ball back. Dawson to his left to 8 Nori. Being closed down by Untunji, goes back across to Dawson, who will go in behind here. It's a great ball towards Lima, and they'll find the Brazilian right back. He needs to get the early cross, and he'll do just that! And it's a tap-in for Gerges, the Wolves number 29. Almost a forgotten man since his £27.5 million move to Wolves 2 years ago. And from back to front, Wolves have the opening goal. Dawson with that ball into space for Lima, who's looked to threat all night so far from right back for Wolves. Beat Humphreys to it. And he knew he had to get the cross in as quickly as possible because Gerges was all alone. The cross went in. Haladki tried to meet it, but he missed it. And in the end, Gerges could just guide the ball into the back of the net. It was an empty net, but it wasn't an easy finish to control. Bounced in front of him. There was a chance Haladki could have got a touch to it, but he stayed focused. Gonçalo Gerges, and with his right leg, just about able to force the ball into the back of the net. And for all their shots on goal, finally one has hit the back of the net. And at Molineux here, it's Wolves 1, Burnley 0. Gonçalo Gerges with the goal. Wolves are looking good. I mean, I'm not going to just say this because you've just gone 1-0 up, but Wolves were looking good anyway. They were creating a lot more chances, maybe not having as much of the ball in the opening exchanges, but every time they were going forward, they were getting a shot off at goal. And for Burnley, that's what they're struggling. Like when they're on the ball, Burnley, they're looking okay, but just not doing enough in terms of getting shots off at goal. And Wolves have finally made one of their chances count here through Gonçalo Gerges. Oh, the lads, big up. And we've had a goal. We'll also keep up to date with the other League Cup fixtures as well. We'll watch one of the League Cup games at half-time as well, so don't go anywhere. because Ipswich are 1-0 up against Wimbledon at the moment. West Ham 0-0 with Bournemouth. With Newcastle an early lead against Nottingham Forest away from home. That's 1-0. Goal from Joe Willock in the first minute. So we have a 1-goal lead here for Wolves. And if you look up front, I know it's a bit small, the writing, but the man who scored for Wolves, Gerges up front, number 29. If you're looking at his name thinking, that is definitely not how you say it, it actually is. I was watching that Premier League pronunciation video that they've released, about an hour and a half long. I did not sit and watch it all before he started saying that. Obviously, I had to skip to Wolves. And he said his name, and I usually call him Guedes, because there's a D, but he said it, and his Gerges. I was like, oh, interesting. Some things you just don't know. But we've got 5 minutes left until we hit minute 45 here. Wolves are 1-0 up, definitely deserving of their lead so far. But Wolves have Burnley put up a decent battle so far as Hannibal on the halfway line just overruns it, runs into Doyle. He goes back to Dawson, who started the attack for the goal. And he'll go to his right to Bueno, who will bring it forward, back out to the right to Lima, who's already got an assist for Wolves tonight on his debut for the club. First time he's been in the matchday squad for Wolves, not in the matchday squad for the first two Premier League games. The 18-year-old fullback. As Wolves just knocking it around nicely. Burnley just struggling a little bit more with their press as this first half goes on. With the number 20, Doyle. Sorry for that noise. Doyle out to the left to Shaquinho. Running at Egan Riley. There's an overlap of Aït-Nouri, but Shaquinho will go in his own and drags a shot wide of the post. Do apologise for that noise. There's Shaquinho. Like I say, looked dangerous from the left wing so far. Definitely tell he's right-footed. Try to cut in every time. Dragged the shot a couple of yards wide there. Maybe the overlap was the better shout because Aït-Nouri was making an advanced run. As for Wolves, their number 6, Boubacar Traoré, is down. Looks like a possible knee issue, leg issue. He's saying that he felt a pull. He's literally making that looks a bit strange. He was doing that to the physio, like, something's been pulled, and now he grips the back of his thigh. So I'm going to go for a hamstring. I think that's really frustrating for Boubacar Traoré. Featured 27 times last season in all competitions. Only started 7 times in the Premier League, and 4 of them came in the last 6 games. Just not quite works his way into the Wolves starting 11 because they have loads of quality in central midfield, Wolves, especially with the likes of Mario Lemina and João Gomez as well. But it looks like he might have done his... Or is it calf, maybe? I'm not quite sure. It's either a calf or a hamstring pull. And it looks like we might have to get a first half change, an enforced one for Wolves, and Gary O'Neill. And like I say, was Scott Parker's assistant from February 2021 to August 2022 at Bournemouth, before replacing Scott Parker at Bournemouth when he was sacked after the first 3 games of the season, a couple of seasons ago now. Thought Forest are at home. They're very quiet. Yeah, it's Forest at home, losing 1-0 at the moment. Like I said, we'll have a watch of that Forest-Newcastle game when this hits half-time. So don't go anywhere during half-time because I'll keep commentating and we'll watch Forest against Newcastle. So just a stoppage in play here, just for Boubacar Traoré. He said there was a pull, and he still lay on the ground, so this isn't very promising for Boubacar Traoré. As Wolves at home, last season, they were pretty strong. They won 8 of their 19 home games, but they beat the likes of Manchester City, Spurs. They beat Chelsea last season as well, you might remember, on Christmas Eve. So they were definitely a strong side at home last season and able to really take it to those big teams. But they only won 1 of their final 10 games in the Premier League, Wolves, and that only win came against Luton at home. So definitely room for improvement because they were struggling at the back end of last season. They're struggling again at the start of this season, losing their opening 2 games to Arsenal and Chelsea. So this could be a good game to get a win under their belt, get confidence up and try and push on this season, even though they have had to lose the likes of Max Kilman to West Ham and Pedro Neto to Chelsea for a combined fee of £94 million that's brought in altogether. And they've also loaned out a couple of youngsters, the likes of Nathan Fraser. He's gone to Belgium. Sharewa as well, gone to Derby in the Championship. As Boubacar Traoré is stood on this touchline here. You'll want to continue. Wolves do have Mario Lemina at the ready, as we'll get a bit of added on time now on the end of this first half. When we hit minute 45, Mario Lemina is putting the boots on, the Wolves number 5. Contract expires at the end of this season at Wolves for Mario Lemina. And yeah, Boubacar Traore heading down the tunnel. Really frustrating night for him. Trying to get into Gary O'Neill's first team. Games like this can give you the platform to show him what you can do. But it's been cut short by a half because he's had to come off with an injury. And hopefully for Boubacar Traore, it is nothing long term, as Mario Lemina will be coming on when the game next comes to a pause, as we've played 45 minutes. And the fourth official will be adding on. Not sure how long he's added on yet. We're not been shown. 4 minutes so far added on, and that's just due to the pause at the end of the half there, due to the injury of Traore. As it's Burnley on the ball, far side, about 15 yards inside the Wolves half. Not quite advancing yet, really struggling to get into the Wolves 18-yard box, which, you know, with a goal being a goal down now, they'll need to start getting some more shots off in the second half, or maybe even the first half if they can conjure up a chance near the end of the half. As Ntunji knocks the ball past Aït-Nouri, but runs right into the Algerian. It's now back with Wolves with Dawson, finding the pass to Chiquinho, turn away from Hannibal, and then pulled to the ground there, and that'll be a free kick for Wolves. Just pulled the shirt there. Hannibal, again, quite lucky to not pick up a booking. As with 3 minutes left of the first half here, of the added on time, Mario Lemina comes on for the injured Boubacar Traore. Just the one win for Lemina in 7 against Burnley, and that was in the home win here last season, as Craig Dawson passes the captain's armband to Mario Lemina, who's been at the club now since January 2023. Came in for just less than £10 million from Nice. Already had Premier League experience, though, spending 4 years at Southampton. And his last League Cup appearance for Mario Lemina was back in September 2020. So not played in this competition for quite some time. As it's Wolves to attack down their left wing, just slowed down by Chiquinho. It's now Doyle. Everyone behind the ball for Burnley as they go towards the halfway line to Dawson. Then out towards the right here to Bueno. Forward to Gerges, the goal scorer. Wants the 1-2 with Sarabia, and he'll slide to try and keep it alive, but he'll just roll through to the goalkeeper of Haladki. It's his first home goal for Gerges at Wolves since November 2022 when he scored against Brighton. Hadn't appeared in this competition since January 2023. And he scored in his first appearance against tonight's opposition. As they play out from the back here, Burnley, Worrell on the far side, clearing up towards the halfway line, chested down by Rodriguez, finds Masengo, who goes back to Brownhill, then out to the right, great ball to Egan Riley. Ball gets caught under his feet, but he can keep it away from Chiquinho. It's now on this near side to Ntunji. Driving inside, tripped from behind by Chiquinho on halfway. That'll be a free kick for Burnley, as we've got 90 seconds left of this first half here. But we did have a 2-0 prediction for Wolves. If anyone's got any other predictions, please put it in the chat. Let me know what you think's going to happen here. As at half-time, we'll go through the other games in the League Cup at the moment, and we'll have a watch of Newcastle coming up against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. Six of the last 12 meetings between these two have been draws. Of course, if we get a draw tonight, we'll have a penalty shootout. Can't technically end a draw tonight. Just less than a minute to go of this first half. It's Humphries to bring it forward. Plays the pass to Sambo. Gets away from Lima. He's in the centre circle of Egan Riley. Just goes beyond him, but kept moving by McNally. Wolves just slow down their press as they've got Burnley just playing it in their own half at the moment. It's out to the left to Bashir Humphries. Brings it forward away from one sliding challenge, but then forced to go back to Worrell. That's frustrating. He made a nice little dart forward there, Humphries. Now into the midfield to Egan Riley, who's picked up that position a couple of times and tries to thread a ball through into the box for Ntunji. Intercepted by the side challenge of Aït-Nouri. Then Craig Dawson kicks it off Ntunji, and that'll be a throw-in for Wolves in their left-back area as we're about to hit that 4th minute of added on time that was signalled by the 4th official, Dean Whitestone. As the throw-in will not be taken as the referee blows for half-time here, and at Molineux it's Wolves 1, Burnley 0. The opening goal of the game, scored by Gonçalo Guedes, scored in the 38th minute, and it's a well-deserved goal for Wolves because despite not dominating the possession every time they have had the ball and they've gone forward, they have made sure they're getting shots off at goal, and it could have been more than one if it wasn't for Hladky in the Burnley goal, the former Ipswich goalkeeper forcing a save from Pedence and putting one onto the post from Lima. So he definitely could have been more than one if it wasn't for Hladky. But for Burnley, they've had just a little bit more of the ball, but have not done anything with it in terms of getting into that Wolves 18-yard box. They've only had one shot so far. So despite having more of the possession, they've done very little with it. And for Wolves, despite having less of the possession, they have done so much more with the ball when they've had it. And they've got themselves a leaders here at Molineux at half-time. It is Wolves 1, Burnley 0. So, half-time here. Guedes with the only goal so far. Like I said, it could have been more. Hladky's made some really vital saves so far for Burnley. Especially that one onto the post from Pedro Lima. That was vital. So if you do go for half-time, make sure you return in 15 minutes' time. But I would stick around personally because we're going to just switch on the Nottingham Forest Newcastle game. So, and if you've got any points of conversation you want to talk about, any topics you want to mention, then also put them in the chat as well and we can have a discussion about that and everyone can get involved if you would like. I was just going around the ground at the moment because the Wolves-Burnley game was the earliest kickoff. Wimbledon of League 2 are currently losing 1-0 to Ipswich. Their former player, Al Hamadi, scores for Ipswich, who they brought from Wimbledon. West Ham Bournemouth is 0-0. Colchester Brentford is also 0-0. We've got goals in the Cardiff-Southampton game. It's Cardiff 1, Southampton 2. Southampton took the lead, then were pegged back and then have gone ahead once again. And another 0-0 between Swansea and Wycombe. And then here, Nottingham Forest trail by a goal to 0. Newcastle leading this one with Sandro Tonali starting for Newcastle as his ban has come to an end. I think it was 10-month ban, wasn't it? I think from football for Sandro Tonali. He's back in for Newcastle, and what a returning player it is for Newcastle. As it's Nottingham Forest with the starting 11. We'll read out the starting 11s just in a moment. Here is they've got Carlos Miguel in goal. Nottingham Forest, another goalkeeper they've signed. They've signed plenty of goalkeepers since they've returned to the Premier League. Willy Bolly, Omar Deli and Abbott is a back three. And then right wing back is Eric Da Silva Moreira. I don't know. I've not heard of many of these players. And Elliot Anderson in the midfield for Nottingham Forest as well, who they signed from Newcastle. Nicolas Dominguez as well in there for Forest. And then left wing back is Alex Moreno, their new signing from Aston Villa. I like that signing. I liked Alex Moreno at Aston Villa. And then three strikers of Jota Silva, Taiwo Awoniyi, and also Ramon Sosa. So plenty of signings brought in by Nuno Espirito Santo. As for Newcastle, it's Pope in goal, Trippier, Kraft, Byrne and Hall as a back four. Three midfield of Tonali, Joe Linton and Willock, who scored and has had to be replaced by Guimaraes. I'm assuming that's for an injury. That's rather unfortunate. And then a front three of Almiron, Isak and Barnes. So pretty strong starting 11 for Newcastle. Not as much rotation as we've seen in the Forest squad. As Forest have got a cross into the box, it's deflected away. I predicted right. Yeah, you did say they were going to score. You did say that. You did say they'll score before half time. And to be fair, I can see a 2-0 win for Wolves, in all honesty. I can see them scoring another and not conceding because even though Burnley are having a little bit more of the ball, they're getting nowhere near the Wolves' 18-yard box. Every time they go forward, they always feel like they've got to go back because a forward pass isn't on. It's a little bit frustrating for Burnley at the moment. But Wolves won't mind. Like I say, when they've gone forward, they've made sure they've gone forward, with precision, and they're really making sure they're getting their shots off at goal as Newcastle attack here. Harvey Barnes in the box on the left wing, squaring it's Joe Linton, who will shoot and he'll bend it towards that top right corner. And that is not too far away from Joe Linton. Got to remember as well now for Newcastle, it's a full season with no other distractions. Of course, they can have League Cup and FA Cup runs, but overall, they can focus on the Premier League. Quite unfortunate last season, Newcastle, I think they finished 7th, wasn't it? But one of their European spot was taken off them due to the fact that Manchester United won the FA Cup. But as soon as the Wolves-Burnley game is back underway, we'll be going straight back to that game. Yeah, if a second goal scored for Wolves, I do think it's done. Because on the bench, Burnley don't really have many senior players. They've got Connor Roberts, who is a right back, attacking right back. He can definitely get involved in the scoring and assisting. He's 28. They've got Maxime Esteve, who they brought in this summer from Montpellier for €15 million after having him on loan at the back end of last season. He's only 22. Their new left back, Lucas Perez, is also on the bench. He looks decent. When I watched him against Luton, he assisted twice in that game. And then they've got 4 youngsters. They've got Will Hugel, the 20-year-old, Tommy McDermott at 19, Joe Wesley at 19, and then Vernon Massara at 17. He won Burnley's Academy Player of the Year for last season, playing in the under-21s for the majority of the season, when just aged 16 at the time. So he looks like a decent little player, Vernon Massara, and is quite literally little, only not that little, 5'8", because that's what I am. So that's not, that's quite tall, isn't it? Really? I'm joking. 5'8" isn't that tall, and I'm very disappointed that I couldn't be like 6 foot, but you can't have everything. And then Lyle Foster. Interestingly, he's on the bench. I didn't think he would be Lyle Foster, because he's literally probably going to move to Ipswich, maybe tomorrow. It looks like he's going to go on to Ipswich on a loan with a mandatory fee to buy. So, I'm surprised to see him on the bench, but he could have one last appearance for Burnley. Lyle Foster. He's only scored 6 times for them since joining in January 2023 from KVC Westerlo for €10 million. Only scored 5 times last season in the Premier League, one of them against Luton. Also being sent off against Nottingham Forest as well. Why isn't Sarr in the lineup? Is he injured? He's not injured. I just think O'Neill is just giving Dan Bentley a game, and then also giving their third choice keeper a spot on the bench of Tom King. I don't think it's anything serious. I just think he's giving Jose Sarr a nice little rest. He's not the only one who's resting. Also, João Gomez isn't in the squad, but he's okay. He's just being rested tonight. Same goes for Matthias Cunha as well, for Wolverhampton Wanderers. But Newcastle still lead 1-0 here. Not much going on. Not much to report on, as the Wolves and Burnley second half will be getting underway in around 5 minutes' time or so. So, like I say, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. See if we've gained any subscribers, because I'm commentating all the time this season. Last season we did so many games, I genuinely lost count. So it's 3 or 4 commentaries a week usually. Don't really cover international football, only major tournaments. Don't really do the international breaks personally. So make sure you do subscribe. It's certainly worth it. Currently on 1,346. If we could get to 1,350, so 4 more subscribers, that'd be absolutely brilliant if we could make that happen. As in the other League Cup games at the moment, we had any more goals? Yes, Wimbledon have equalised. Wimbledon 1, Ipswich 1. Still West Ham, Bournemouth 0-0, Colchester, Brentford 0-0. And Wickham have took a lead away at Swansea. Richard Kone with the goal. We commentated on Swansea's game at the weekend when they drew 1-1 to Cardiff. In the South Wales derby, pretty frustrating result in the end for Swansea, because they were very dominant in the opening hour of that game. You think Brentford will win in full time? I imagine so. I mean, Colchester in League Two, they are a bit of a. They're not one of the best teams, but they're difficult to beat because they're under the Cowley brothers. They're managing there, and it can be a difficult place to go, Colchester, to win, even if you're a Brentford side, who probably rotated. So, yeah, I think Brentford will come out winners, but I don't think it'll be an easy second half for them. You good at commentary? Thank you very much for that. I hope you are enjoying the commentary, and that's why you're all sticking around. But we are just at half time at the moment between Wolves and Burnley, just waiting for the second half to get kick started, and it'll be started in around 3 or 4 minutes time. Yes, we definitely need Burnley just to do more with the ball. Like I say, they're knocking it around. I know I keep saying it, but they're moving it around nicely, like in the middle third of the Wolves half. But they're just not taking that risk and getting it into the final third and getting it into the 18-yard box. You know, they've barely tested Dan Bentley in the Wolves goal. So despite matching Wolves with possession, you know, Wolves clearly showing why they are the Premier League team and why they've got better players, because they're getting the shots off. They're being a little bit more fearless with their attacks, you know, going for those riskier passes, getting it into space and just getting the shots off. And if Burnley don't change that, they will not be going through. So it looks like Newcastle might have another problem. Sandro Tonali struggling. Of course, it'll be his first game for a while. Or I think it was an elbow towards the throat for Sandro Tonali. So we're going to get the Wolves-Burnley game back on the screen. And so we just wait for the second half to get underway here at Molineux. Wolves lead 1-0. Gonçalo Guedes with the goal. I doubt will really be sticking around. I think he might be gone before the end of the transfer window, if I must be honest. Even though he has been on the bench for the first 2 games of the season for Wolves, Guedes, but didn't come off the bench for Burnley. For Wolves, sorry. As there is, you know, they brought a decent amount of fans tonight, Burnley, it must be said. They are well travelled. It must be said, as it looks like they are getting a few players warmed up. There's Will Hugel, just warming up. See if he'll be introduced at any point in the 20-year-old. First time in the first team squad on the weekend against Sunderland. Subscribe to your channel, thank you very much. Which team you support? I don't usually say which team I support. I do support a team in the Premier League, but I just keep that quiet. I'd just rather stay neutral with that. But I do also support Stockport County, who are now in League One. And we're going to win the league. No, I'm joking. I'm not getting too confident. But we are top of the league, which is great. As there is Scott Parker. He's back out. Sat down on his chair. The 43-year-old. Of course, his last job was a very failed stint at Club Brugge. 12 games, 2 wins, and including in that included a knockout by Benfica in the Champions League last 16. And the last 2 games he's lost in this competition, Scott Parker, were both at Norwich away in the second round, which I thought was quite interesting to research. Scott Parker's definitely the right man to bring in, I believe, for Burnley. You know, he's been in this division twice, the Championship. And he's been promoted twice as a runner-up in 2022 with Fulham, and then via the playoffs, promoted automatically as a runner-up with Bournemouth, and then through the playoffs with Fulham in 2020. It does like we're going to get a Burnley change here at half-time. We've already had one Wolves change, but that was enforced. Boubacar Traore came off injured, and he was replaced by Mario Lemina. So both sets of players back on now. Just doing a quick little sprint and warm up just before we get going as we get these changes made. It looks like we're going to get 3 Burnley changes possibly here. The first one will be number 14 of Connor Roberts, who we mentioned before. And the second one, we'll see Lucas Perez come on as well. And I think we're going to get one of the youngsters to come on as well. I think it might be Tommy McDermott, the 19-year-old, more of an attacking midfielder, brought in January of this year from Port Vale, before his move to Burnley. Whilst he was at Port Vale, he had 2 loans last season at Rochdale and then to Curzon Ashton. And he is the one to come on, so it's triple change for Burnley. Roberts, Perez and McDermott on. And I'll let you know who they have replaced very shortly. Didn't quite catch who they came on for in the end. But no second half changes as well. For Wolves, as mentioned, already made one, but that was forced on Gary O'Neill. As Wolves kick us off, kicking left to right, Burnley right to left here. Wolves 1-0 up through Gonçalo Guedes. He goes for this header, loses out to Worrell up to the halfway line where Rodriguez loses out to Bueno, and his header goes straight out of play for a throw-in for Burnley, midway inside their own half, taken quickly by their left back Lucas Perez. So one of the changes sees Brownhill come off for McDermott. Egan Riley replaced by Connor Roberts. And the third change will see Hannibal on his debut, only signed today. He'll be replaced there by McDermott as Burnley burst away with Masengo. Tackled though fairly from behind by Lamina midway inside the Wolves half. And it's now the home side with it in a right back position with their right back, Pedro Lima, who assisted that goal for Gonçalo Guedes. It's now with number 25, the goalkeeper, Bentley. His best ever run in this competition was a 3rd round exit. So he doesn't usually go that far in this competition, the 31-year-old. He goes to the left centre half here to Craig Dawson. Scored twice against Burnley. This is his 15th appearance tonight. Not scored against them since the 16-17 season. It's a bit scrappy in the midfield for Wolves, but they're just about to keep it moving. But they've been forced to go back to Dan Bentley. Can you remember when Wolves had their big stars? Yeah, I know. Beat City a few times, Wolves. I mean, they beat them last season, but I mean, under Nuno Espirito Santo, they beat them a couple of times as well, including at the Etihad. 2-0, I think Adama Traore scored twice in that one. It's now Burnley have it. Wolves going long again towards Guedes, who's not quite the most... It's not the best aerial presence to have up front. As Burnley in the midfield to Connor Roberts. Halfway line is Rodriguez. Curling out to the right wing towards Ntunji. Asking a lot of him to control that with his chest with the speed of the ball that was played with. And it goes out for a Wolves throw-in. Wasn't quite able to keep that in there. Andreas Ntunji, 22 years of age. The right winger tonight for Burnley. With Santiago Bueno. The best run he's had in cup competition was the last 16 in the Copa del Rey when he played his football in Spain, the Uruguayan centre-half. He still has it, bringing it forward here, playing a ball out to the right to Lima, touches it inside for Guedes, then back to Lima, and then to Guedes again, who's just been blocked off there. Free kick taken quickly by Guedes, trying to lift it out to the left-hand side, but cut out by Humphreys for Burnley, who heads it to his goalkeeper of Haladki. It's now Worrell to the left-back, Lucas Perez, who's assisted twice in that first game of the season against Luton Town. Brought in for £2 million from Santos, Sao Paulo-born fullback. And I forgot the time, I do apologise, I'll get that going. Still Burnley on this near side, just inside their own half at the moment. Masengo. Roberts, forward to Rodriguez, takes it on the turn, but tackled well there by Lamina. It's now Dawson lifting out to the right-hand side. Guedes will give chase to this one. Worrell beats him to it. Plays it forward to Perez. And then back to the goalkeeper, Haladki. Just keeps it in outside of his 18-yard box. He clears it. It deflects away. up towards Sambo, who's then brought to the ground by Bueno. Free kick for Burnley, just inside their own half on that left-hand side. Well, won there by Sharandi Sambo, former Dutch under-21 international. Signed a 4-year deal here. Spent 15 years of his career at PSV. The team he's just left to join Burnley. Played 11 times last season in the Eredivisie. Sambo in PSV's title win. There's Lemina, caught out of possession here. It's now Masengo. Forward to McDermott. Then to the left towards Rodriguez. It's a loose pass. Picked up there. Well, by Sarabia. 4.5 minutes into the second half. It's still Wolves 1, Burnley 0. Not much so far that's happened in terms of clear-cut chances for either of these two teams. Dan Bentley brings it out of his 18-yard box. Not being closed down yet at the moment. Will eventually be closed down by McDermott. Goes to his right, though, to Bueno. It's now the right back Lima. Back to Bueno. And then going back to Bentley. Spent 7 years at Arsenal's academy. Dan Bentley. From 2001 to 2008. And almost returned in the summer. But Wolves rejected a bid from Arsenal to make him their third choice goalkeeper. Wolves still have it. Halfway line with Craig Dawson. Most well known for his spell at West Brom. Spent 9 years at West Brom. 225 appearances, 15 goals. He is quite the threat from set pieces, Craig Dawson. Making appearance number 48 tonight for Wolves. Dawson lifting out to the left-hand side. It's a great ball to Aït-Nouri, who controls it, but it's just a little loose. Taken off him by Untunji. Facing his own goal here. Plays it inside. Finds Humphreys. Goes across once more to Haladki. And forward to Roberts. To McNally, sorry. It's risky, but it works. He then finds Roberts. Then forward to McDermott. Bit of space opening up for Burnley on this left-hand side. And he'll work it to this near side now. As they look to try and get a shot at goal. It's Pires. Crossing to the far post towards Rodriguez. Touches it down towards McDermott, but it goes behind the youngster. And collects on the edge of the area by Doyle, who goes forward to Sarabia, surrounded by 2 Burnley shirts. And dispossessed by Masengo, who battles well with the Spaniard. And that'll be a throw-in for Burnley. Really well played there by Noah Masengo. And got a cheeky little high five there by Scott Parker, who had that in his game as well when he used to play in midfield. Scott Parker retired back in 2017. Draw is tonight, right? Yeah, I think the draw is after the Newcastle game. I wonder if Company's watching the match. Not too sure. And the Champions League draws tomorrow. Don't know what time. I know the Champions League draws tomorrow. Up the Burnley. Still in it. Burnley fans. It's just the 1-0, but you really have not looked like scoring at all in this game so far. Despite having equals amount of the ball. And they were a little bit better on their travels last season, Burnley. Won more away from home in the Premier League last season than they did at home. They only won 2 at home. That was to Sheffield United and Brentford, winning the other 3 away from home. And Burnley stuck to their guns in terms of shape. They were always 4 at the back last season. And at the moment, they're just pressing in a 4-4-2 shape, with the 2 strikers being McDermott and Rodriguez. It's Wolves on it. They play it into the Burnley half here to Lima. Touch isn't great, taken off him by Masengo. And Burnley try and get the ball forward quick as Masengo gets it forward to Untunji, touches it to McDermott. Keeps it away from Lemina and out wide left now to Sambo, running at Lima. Onto his right foot, edge of the area. He's got the run of Pires going around him. Just delays the pass and eventually gets it to Pires. He's got Sambo just behind him. And he played it to Sambo. And then back once more to Worrell. Forward to the edge of the area. It's a nice looking ball there to Untunji. Tries to release it, but well tackled by Bueno, who gets it into Lemina. It's now Pedence. Gerges is away and he's onside. And Worrell will try and catch him, but I don't think he will. Gerges, 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Can he make it 2? Oh, he can. It's a delicious little dink over the goalkeeper. And he gets his 2nd of the night. Well onside, as he was well in his own half. That's how high Burnley were. Camped in the Wolves' half. And as they picked up the ball, Burnley stayed high. And a quite simple ball through into Gerges. Gets him his 2nd goal. Brilliant outside the boot ball by Pedence to get it away from Masengo and Worrell, who was never going to have the pace to get back. And about 12 yards out, Gerges just took his time with it. Hladky caught in two minds a little bit. Half came out, half stood his ground. And Gerges in the end made it look really simple with that right foot. Just a nice little dink over the outstretched arm of Hladky. And the 27-year-old gets his second of the game as we're 9 minutes into the second half. It's Wolves 2, Burnley 0. And I'm going to find it very difficult to give Burnley any chance in this game now. Despite all of the ball they're having, they're just doing very little with it in terms of getting into the 18-yard box. And every time Wolves go forward, they do look like scoring. And it's 2-0 here at Molineux. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Gerges, the Wolves number 29, who scored twice tonight. Because last season he went on 2 loan spells to Benfica and Villarreal. You know, this is only his 19th appearance for the club. He's been here for 2 years. Signed from Valencia for £27.5 million. So 2-0. Pedence with the assist this time around. Outside of the boot ball. 1-0 is not safe. It isn't safe. Barcelona have finally signed Dani Olmo. That just seems like a right mess, doesn't it, at Barcelona? 2-0 was my prediction, but they might score more. I agree. I think it'll be more than 2, if I'm going to be completely honest. And yeah, Burnley fans not happy with that goal. And he is on a hat-trick as well. Gerges. It's Masengo on the edge of the box for Burnley. Crosses in. Header away by Craig Dawson, diving at it with the header. It's now on just in front of the centre circle in the Wolves half. It's Connor Roberts with it. It's now with Luke McNally, Irish centre-back. Highest he played for Ireland was at the under-19s level. Left Ireland to join Oxford City back in January 2021. It's now to be centre-back partner of Worrell. Out to his near side to Pires on the halfway line. Plays the ball into the midfield. Header away by Lamina. Straight back to Worrell. So plenty of time on the ball here for the new Burnley. Number 4. Has played Wolves once in the League Cup before, and that was in the quarter-finals back in the 22-23 season when Forest went to the semi-finals but were knocked out by Manchester United. And it's given away by Humphreys for Burnley. And Wolves attack down the left. Chiquinho in the final third to the edge of the area to Pedence. Forward once more to Aït-Nouri. Keeps it in. Has to go back though to Chiquinho. Just kills the attack a little bit as Burnley have got plenty of bodies back. And then offside flag goes up anyway. Aït-Nouri found offside as he got the ball back there from Chiquinho. It looks like we're going to get one last stand here from Lyle Foster. He will replace number 9, Jay Rodriguez, who's searching for his 75th Burnley goal, but he's really struggled up front tonight for Burnley. Never scored against Wolves, Jay Rodriguez, and that run will continue. And he'll be replaced by number 17, Lyle Foster, who looks set for a move away to Ipswich. Like I said before, I'm very surprised he's even in the matchday squad. But 23-year-old turning 24 next week will come on for Jay Rodriguez. So Lyle Foster on. Only his second ever appearance in the League Cup. And, I mean, if Burnley can try and mount some sort of comeback, then that will be rather impressive. Because, again, just not looked an attacking threat at all this game. As Burnley have it, far side. Humphreys just caught there by Doyle, who apologises immediately. Certainly didn't mean to catch him, was definitely going for the ball there. Tommy Doyle as Burnley have got underway straight away and they're trying to feed it through to Foster in the box who's just come on. And Bentley was out quickly sliding in to collect the ball. Trying to find the run of Lyle Foster, who will cause this Wolves backline problems if they can just feed it towards him. Because he's a lot quicker than Jay Rodriguez, Lyle Foster, so if they just get it in behind, he'll cause Wolves problems because their 2 centre-backs aren't the quickest in Santiago Bueno and Craig Dawson. But they've got just over half an hour to try and turn it around if they can, or it will be 2 defeats in a row for Burnley. As Aït-Nouri has it at left back. Having to go back into their own half here. It's Craig Dawson. Great commentary this, mate. You've definitely done your research. Thank you very much. I haven't got a link to watch the game, and I'm watching it on Sky Sports Plus. I have no link, though. Yeah, I'll be shocked if this comes. I don't expect the comeback, but as a commentator, you've kind of just got to keep the other team in it. unless, for me, the cut-off's 3-0. If a team's ever 3-0 down, then, I do say, look, it's not looking likely that there's going to be a comeback. And if a comeback happens, I'll easily take back what I said. But at 2-0, you just never know, because if Burnley can get a goal on the break, or if they can get a goal from a set piece, it's then 2-1. There's just one goal in it. You just never know. Momentum can change. And it's going to be a Wolves free kick about 40 yards from goal. It looks like it might be either Tommy Doyle or Pablo Sarabia to cross this into the box. And with half an hour to go, Wolves would love a third just to kill the game off completely. So it's going to be the left boot of Sarabia towards the far post. Header away there by Foster. Collected by Craig Dawson in the left wing position and takes on Foster. Craig Dawson has it towards the byline. Can he work across? It's overran. And the last touch comes off the number 15. And that'll be a goal kick for Burnley. Trying to show his left wing skills there. Craig Dawson, which he's certainly not known for, as Wolves are going to make a triple change of their own, bringing on some real first-team quality. Looks like Matt Doherty's going to be coming on, Totti Gomez and Hwang Hee-chan, who got the winner here between these two in the Premier League last season at Molineux in that 1-0 win in early December. As Burnley go long up towards Lyle Foster, holds it up against Bueno, but then the pass goes straight to the Uruguayan. And eventually it's won back by Roberts, kicking it out to the left to Pires on halfway. Trying to get it in behind for Foster, cut out though by Wolves' number 37 of Lima. Again, that's what they've got to be aiming for. Balls in behind, looking for that run of Lyle Foster. He's got the pace. Just want to say cheers for this, boss. Wasn't able to find anywhere to watch, so I don't have Sky Sport. That's absolutely no problem. Thanks to everyone who's here. I don't usually get this many in my commentaries, so it is very much appreciated everyone who's here. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. As Nouri's just caught there. Another sliding challenge, this time by the youngster Tommy McDermott, making his Burnley debut at the age of 19. Just turned 19 as well. Turned 19 at the start of June. Just in front of the halfway line there, just catching Nouri. No, Burnley definitely wouldn't like a third, because that would be game over. As here come the triple change for Wolves. They can't bring off Gonzalo Gerges. He's on a hat-trick. That would be tight. So it's going to be Mario Lemina. No, it won't be. He's just getting a drink and some instructions. I was going to say that would have been harsh. He just came on at the end of the first half. So the first change, we'll see Pablo Sarabia be replaced by Hwang Hee-chan, the South Korean, making his 97th Wolves appearance. So coming up towards a century for the South Korean. Second change, we'll see Ryan Aït-Nouri come off for Matt Doherty, who's usually a right wing back, but can certainly do a job on the left-hand side. And the third and final change, we'll see Craig Dawson come off for Totti Gomez, who's making his 70th Wolves appearance. Played 35 times in the Premier League last season for Wolves. Totti Gomez scored in the League Cup in that third round defeat away to Ipswich. So 3 Wolves changes there. Not really a dip in quality, if anything. They've probably brought on better quality. As they're looking for a third and final... Well, it's not a final goal. They might get a third or a fourth and a fifth. But a third goal will certainly kill this game. As it's with Burnley in the midfield, with Masengo, nice bit of feet there, and finding Lyle Foster, who's just drifted out to his left-hand side. Can't get away from Bueno. It's now Lemina who takes over away from one challenge, and then feeding it to the right here to Gerges. He's going to go for an early cross into the area here towards Chiquinho. It's headed into the sky by Humphreys, and he'll win his second header there. Looks far as Pedence towards the corner flag here, surrounded by 2 Burnley shirts, twisting and turning and playing it into Chiquinho. Don't know how he's found him there. That's a great ball, but Chiquinho's overran it, giving away. It's now back with Burnley in the 18-yard box with McNally. It's a short ball towards Haladki, but he just about clears it away from Chiquinho. That could have been a calamitous defensive error. And he has been kicked out for a Wolves throwing on this near side. Just played him really short there, Luke McNally, in his first ever appearance against Wolves. And make sure to stop by if you're ever commentating on a Wolves game again. I've liked and subscribed. Thank you very much, mate. That is very much appreciated. Everyone who is subscribing, like I say, it massively helps the channel out, so it is very much appreciated. Bueno, trying to find a ball in behind for Lima. It's a well-timed slide challenge there by Sambo for Burnley. As Pedro Lima's already assisted once tonight on his debut for Wolves, almost getting on the score sheet with that chance. But he was stopped in his tracks by Sambo. Wolves have it back on halfway. Lemina driving forward. Being followed, though, by Foster. And playing it calmly to this near side to Hwang Hee-chan. And back it goes onto the halfway line to Bueno. Centre circle now with Tommy Doyle, who was promoted from the Championship 2 seasons ago during a loan spell with Sheffield United, where he got them to the FA Cup semi-final as well, but didn't feature as they were playing Manchester City's parent club, which he has now left permanently to join Wolves after last season's loan spell. It's given away there, though, couldn't quite be found by Pedence, and Burnley now attack down the left-hand side. It's with Sambo down the line here. Can it be kept alive? It's Sambo again with it. Good play here with Pires, the left back. Goes back to Masengo. Putting it into the box, but it's too over here. Straight into the hands of the goalkeeper of Dan Bentley. Aiming it there towards Andreas Untunji. But again, just was never going to find the winger, who has got a bit of height to him. Over 6'2". But Burnley have just not even tested Bentley tonight in the Wolves goal, which just simply isn't good enough. But they've definitely got some positives to look at, Burnley, if they can try and keep some of their players and bring in some more. Because last time they were in the Championship, of course, they went up as champions, winning the league with 101 points. They were the 6th team in Championship history to reach over 100 points. But they've been completely dismantled so far this summer. So many of their players leaving. They've not brought too many in at the moment, Burnley, in terms of, real first team quality that, replicates the quality of what they're losing. Still Wolves on the ball, just in their own half. Press here, though, for Burnley. But Wolves keep it moving. Hwang Hee-chan to Lemina on halfway. Turns into traffic, and it's now with Lucas Pires. Gets away from the challenge of Hwang Hee-chan. And he'll take it down the Burnley left there into the final third. Followed, though, by Lemina, and he'll eventually tackle in. The ball's loose. And it'll be a flick there by Lima. And a deflection off Pires. And that'll be a Wolves throwing in their own half. Just over a quarter of the game to go here. Still Wolves 2, Burnley 0. Both goals scored by Gonçalo Guedes. One on either side of half-time. There's a big switch out to the left to Chiquinho. And he's found, that's a great touch. How he's put that from the air. Tackle, but it drops back here for Wolves with Doherty. Around the outside of the Burnley defender. And the cross has been blocked there by Humphreys. And Roberts just about manages to avoid the corner. Slams the ball out of play for a throw-in. Well, that touch there from Chiquinho, the Portuguese left winger, was absolutely brilliant. As it's now Burnley on the ball, Wolves on the ball again. Everyone in an outfield shirt in the Burnley half. It's on this near side, midway inside the Wolves half with Hwang. Going into the centre circle here with Totti Gomez, brought off the bench. Signed a new 5-year deal with Wolves in February of this year. February 2024, signed a new deal. As Wolves win a corner. McNally looks like he's struggling there, as he was the one defending that cross. It was Tommy Doyle who played it through to Chiquinho, and he crossed it from just outside the 18-yard box, and McNally followed him all the way and blocked his cross. Slight little awkward landing there on his knee, but he might be okay. He's still down here, McNally. Looked like it was a little bit awkward on the knee, but if anything, I think it's just a bit of cramp here for the number 34, Luke McNally, who came off the bench as a late sub in the game, both away games in the league so far for Burnley. Came on late against Luton and then against Sunderland at the weekend. So he's not exactly got a lot of football in his legs at the moment, Luke McNally. So it's going to be an in-swinger from Doyle from the far side into the 6-yard box, and it's had to be flicked away by Worrell. Taking it away from any danger. It was a really dangerous ball, that, from Doyle. And at 6'4", Worrell was confident he could just flick that header away. But it's going to be another ball back into the box for Burnley to have to defend here. And it looks like Tommy Doyle's going to come over to this near side and take an out-swinging corner. Does have a good delivery on him. Tommy Doyle. Can he get it right this time? He's got his left arm in the air. The ball goes in to the 6-yard box. Again, and the header's free. And it's over the bar by Totti Gomez. Can't ask for much more from that cross. Tommy Doyle putting it right in that danger zone of that 6-yard box. McNally tried to win the header. Lyle Foster apologises because it was his man, zonally, who he was trying to cover. Totti Gomez got away from him, got the header free. But from about 6 yards out, he's put it over the crossbar. Should have scored really there, Totti Gomez, who scored once last season in the league against Luton at home at the end of April. Then also scored against Ipswich in the 3rd round of the League Cup. Burnley women are winning. Oh my word, that scared the life out of me. Oh my days. Burnley women are winning 6-0. At least they're winning something. Like I say, Burnley won their first 2 games of the season, scoring 9 goals, but their squad has changed quite dramatically in the last week with so many players leaving. As Lyle Foster on halfway turns and plays out to the left. Loads of space here for Pires, the substitute left back. Can he get a cross into the box here? He will do just that towards the far post, where it's a header 1-0 for Wolves there by Doherty. And it drops to Tommy Doyle, who's going to send the ball over the top, but it's a little bit inaccurate. And Hwang Hee-chan won't bother chasing that one. He'll go through for Haladki, the Burnley goalkeeper. 20 to play here. And it's Wolves 2, Burnley 0. So it looks like Wolves are going to progress to the 3rd round again of this competition, like they did last season. Wolves have won it back there, given away by Humphreys. And on the right wing, it's Gerges who's on the hat-trick, running towards goal. Just loses his foot in there. Think he's done. Think cramp. He's had cramp mid-run, and he's been dispossessed there by McDermott. And that's almost a chance for Gerges to get the hat-trick, because he was running right at the 18-yard box, but cramp just got the better of him, unfortunately. And it's now Burnley in the centre circle with Masengo, the central midfielder. Out to this left-hand side again to Pires. Not much support around him. He plays it inside to Sambo. Masengo again. Finds Foster, who's dropped in. Returns it to Masengo. He's probably been the best player for Burnley tonight. Very energetic, looking to make things happen. Battling a lot in that midfield as well. Not an easy midfield to come up against. Masengo, great ball forward there for Pires. Chops beyond Lamina. And plays it to the right here to McDermott. Onto his left foot. Playing it out wide now to Sambo in the area. Gets it across. And it bounces around in the box. And it's Doyle who lifts it out to the Wolves left. Chiquinho with this tackle. Last touch off the Burnley man. And that will be a Wolves throw-in. A little bit of an opening there for Burnley again. No shot on goal. Nothing to trouble Dan Bentley. Just bouncing around there. Eventually dealt with by Doyle as it came off Gomez. Totti Gomez, that is, for Wolves. Questions of a handball. Not too sure. His arm was pretty close to his body. And now Wolves just patiently build out from the back here with Totti Gomez, who probably should have had a goal of his own just before. From that corner. Yeah, questions of handball for sure. As the cutback came in, it came off Bueno and then deflected off Totti Gomez. It definitely came off an arm, but his arm was quite close to his body, so maybe that's why the referee didn't give the penalty. And I don't think there's any VAR tonight. Well, I know there's no VAR tonight. Or I would have had it written down. So, not given. We'd have to see it again. It was only shown once or twice. As Wolves have a free kick. That's a late one. Connor Roberts will be booked. Got the captain's armband for Burnley. Gerges, who's already scored twice now, just drifted over to the left-hand side. And he got the ball ahead of Roberts with the touch. And Roberts just sliding in. A little bit out of control. Didn't get to the ball first. And the free kick's been given to Wolves. So it's on the left-hand side, about 40 yards from goal, but it's a good angle for Doyle just to cross this into the box. In it goes. It's a high one to the far post. Header won by Worrell. Drops outside the box for Wolves. They continue the attack here with Doherty. Doyle again. Switching out to the right to Pedence. Controlling it. Playing it back there to the halfway line to Lima. Just over 15 minutes to play. Totti Gomez playing a ball high out to the left for Chiquinho. Controls it again really well. Oh, he's just offside. Poor that. Shouldn't be caught offside. Just needs to check his line and make sure he's not just gone beyond the last defender. Flag up on him. And that'll be a Burnley free kick in a right-back position. Who do you support? I don't say who I support in the Premier League because being neutral. But I do support a lower league team, and that is Stockport County in League One, as Gonçalo Guedes is going to be pulled off here with 15 to play. He will not be able to go on and score a hat-trick. Scored twice tonight. One in the first half, one in the second. Two very nice finishes. And he'll be replaced here by Jean-Rickner Bellegarde, making his League Cup debut. That's number 27 for Wolves. Came through at Lens in France before moving to Strasbourg and then to Wolves last season for £12.8 million. Very energetic midfielder. Will definitely help this Wolves team see out this game. On the right wing here, it's Burnley trying to get forward. Cross comes off a Wolves man, and that'll be thrown in the final third for Burnley. On the far side. Yeah, so around the grounds, Wimbledon have took the lead against Ipswich. It's Wimbledon 2, Ipswich 1. West Ham, Bournemouth still 0-0. Brentford have taken a lead away at Colchester. And then Cardiff 3, Southampton 3. That looks like a cracker of a game there in Wales. And then Swansea still trail to Wycombe by a 1-0. Burnley have won themselves a free kick, being dragged by Tommy Doyle there. Tommy McDermott. So on the right-hand side, it will be a free kick here for Burnley. Again, a bit too far wide for a shot. But a nice angle for a cross. Lucas Pires is the one placing it down for Burnley. Like I say, if they can score from this, score from a set piece, 2-1, 15 to play, you know, anything can happen. So I'm trying to get myself in focus a bit more, because, of course, it's my face that needs to be in focus. I think Roberts is also stood over it. Yeah, a bit wide for a shot, but need to get the cross right, because an opening could arise here. Roberts again raising his left arm. Referee blows the whistle. It will be Roberts to cross it in. Header away at the near post by Hwang Hee-chan. Falls to McDermott again, who goes out back to the right to Roberts. They can recycle it in the box if they can. Roberts, left-footed, he'll go for the shot instead, and it's just wide of the far post. He had Bentley scrambling and diving, but I think it was a good yard or two wide in the end by Connor Roberts, who's come off the bench tonight for Burnley, currently wearing the captain's armband. This will be his first ever career defeat against Wolves. Yeah, from that right-hand side, just quitting onto his left foot, getting away from Chiquinho. But yeah, about a yard or so wide in the end. But forcing Bentley to scurry across his goal. It's still Wolves 2 here, Burnley 0, and it's Joe Worrell down now for Burnley. Again, I doubt it will be an injury or a muscular pull. It might just be cramp that he's struggling with. Because Joe Worrell is making his first appearance of the season. Wasn't involved for Nottingham Forest at the beginning of the campaign before making his move here to Burnley for an undisclosed fee. So it looks like it'll just be a bit of cramp that Joe Worrell is struggling with at the back end of this game. So just a chance here for both managers. Just have a mini little team talk with their two sides before we get into the final closing actions of this match. So Joe Worrell is back to his feet, slowly walking off again. It won't be anything muscular. It'll just be a bit of cramp for the number 4. And he will be replaced here not wanting to risk Joe Worrell, who's just getting his match fitness back up to speed. And he'll be replaced here by number 43, Will Hugel. Another debut for Burnley, 20 years of age. First time on the bench for him for the first team at the weekend. And now he's come off the bench to make his first senior debut. Signed a new one-year deal in May of this year. So, Hugel on, alongside McDermott. So, a couple of debuts for Burnley off the bench tonight. Pedence collects it in the centre circle. He's got Chiquinho out wide left in a bit of space. He'll look for him, but he can't quite find him as it bounces off the grass. Just gets away from the Portuguese left winger. And it'll be a Burnley throw-in. Always been available on that left wing tonight, Chiquinho, even though a lot of the times he's just not quite timed his run. Long throw-in from Roberts. Couldn't quite find Foster on halfway. Cut out before it could get to him. It's now on this far side with Doherty. Chiquinho inside to Pedence, trying to play it into the space down the left flank, but Chiquinho never made the run. It's now with Roberts at right back. Going forward here to Misengo, and then Humphries, who's just dropped into centre-half now for Worrell, who's come off. So it'll be Humphries going into centre-back as Burnley play it down the left with Foster, running into Bueno, throwing on the halfway line for Burnley. Taken by Lucas Pires, the Brazilian left-back. Just made under 70 appearances for Santos Pires before moving to join Burnley here in England. That's a pass inside by Pires is shocking. It's fell to Chiquinho in the middle of the park. Out to the right, in the box to Bellegarde. On once more to Pedence. The angle's tight. Tries the pullback. Deflects and cleared. Sorry for that noise. It keeps scaring me. It's Foster looming out on this near side. And Bueno going back home to his goalkeeper of Bentley. And then back to Bueno. Could there be one more goal in it here for Wolves? Bellegarde into the space down the right-hand side for Hwang Chan. Tries to take on McNally. But McNally slides in well on the edge of the area. And the slide tackle means Wolves cannot go for that third. And it's now with Misengo in the centre circle for Burnley. Just slowing it down and going to the left there to Humphries. On loan from Chelsea. Has gone abroad on a loan spell before. Bashir Humphries. From January to June in 2023. Went to Germany to play for Paderborn. Now his loan spell here is in England. Sorry, I could just restarting the stream again here because it's buffering a little bit there. As we're back here. Just less than 82 minutes played. Still Wolves 2, Burnley 0. Wolves on the ball halfway line. Bellegarde towards the right-hand side. Just loses out there. Good defending for Burnley by Pires. And it's now with their makeshift captain, Connor Roberts. Came through at Swansea. Has featured for Wales at the last World Cup. Not the last, yeah, the last World Cup in Qatar. And also at the Euros in 2021. Humphries at left centre-back. Playing it to the left-back of Pires. In Burnley's defensive third. Just need to be careful they don't lose it here. Pires needs to be careful he doesn't lose it here. As he does, Lima gets it. Edge of the area to Pedence. Touches and great. Tackle by Misengo. He will go back here to Humphries. And he'll just clear it up the field. Big kick forward. Header won by Lamina. Heading it back to the halfway line to Totti Gomez. And Wolves have it back. Just can tell that Wolves have got that extra added quality between the two sides. Even though Wolves did finish in 14th and Burnley in 18th, just 4 positions between them, over 20 points. The gap in the end is 1-2 between Pedence and Chiquinho. And Chiquinho cuts onto that right foot and shoots towards the top right corner. It deflects to the opposite side of the box where it's Lima to cross it himself. It goes all the way through to the far post to Tommy Doyle in the corner of the box on the left-hand side. He then crosses deep towards Lima. He puts it back across another time and then dealt with not very well though for Burnley. Drops to Pedence, gets himself in the box and lifts it over the goalkeeper who just about gets an arm to it. And cleared away in the end by Humphries. That time it's a bit further away up towards Foster who holds it up, keeping it away from Bueno. And he'll win a free kick there, Lyle Foster. And they'll get the ball moving. Haradki just coming off his line a little bit, trying to read that Pedence chip, but he almost got caught out by it. Didn't though in the end. Just got that left hand up, keeping it away from Hwang Hee-chan, who would have had a tap-in from about 2 yards out there if it had gone past the Burnley goalkeeper. Burnley trying to get it forward to Lyle Foster. It deflects and it's headed away there by Bueno. But a little bit of grappling there, and it goes against Santiago Bueno. And it looks like he's definitely hurt Lyle Foster here. Looks like he's caught the number 17, who looks to be on his way to Ipswich, so he will not want to be injured. Yeah, I think just caught his left foot there. Santiago Bueno went unpunished, and Lyle Foster's going to have to limp off it. Like I say, he is set for a move here to Ipswich. He is jogging off, which means he might be able to see out the last 5 minutes of this game. But thanks to everyone who has been here tonight. It's been a fantastic amount of people in here, and loads of people have liked and subscribed, which massively helps the channel. So if you haven't before the end of the game, make sure you do before you go. Next commentary here on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff, West Ham welcoming the champions Manchester City. And next Monday, we've got a commentary of Salford City against MK Dons of League 2. That's at 8 o'clock on Monday, 2nd of September. Again, Burnley, no shots on target. They've had a decent amount of the ball. I've said it all the way through the game. It's not like they've had none of the ball. They've had plenty of it, but just barely entered the 18-yard box. And Wolves, every time they've gone forward, their main aim has just been to get a shot away. You know, they've not always been in the greatest of areas, but they've been testing Haradki all the way through the game. Back underway here. I think Foster's back on the pitch for Burnley as they give it away, playing out from the back. Perez at left back, the one who has been dispossessed. It's now Doyle midway inside the Burnley half, working out to the right-hand side here. It's Bellegarde, all the time in the world to enter the area and crossing it in, but straight into the gloves though of Haradki, who throws it out quickly to that left back Perez, who will not want to give it away again, but he's got no one near him. He'll leave it for Foster, who's drifted to a left wing position here. There's a switch on for him. He's going to try the switch. He's asking a lot of Sambo, who cannot quite get there ahead of the bounce. And as it bounced, it goes beyond him for a throw-in for Wolves on their far side there, as Gary O'Neill continues to watch on here. Getting one over his former colleague of Scott Parker. He was his assistant at Bournemouth before taking on the job himself when Scott Parker was sacked a couple of seasons ago. Wolves get it forward to Bellegarde in the more central area, and he works it away from Perez. Bellegarde wanting to play it out to this near side. He finds Lima, who's been a constant threat down that Wolves right, on the edge of the area. Enters the box, shoots, it deflects, and it's well touched down by Roberts to find Hugel. And Burnley can try and play out from the back here. 3 minutes of the 90 to go. Lyle Foster on the left wing. Last touch comes off him. No. Last touch comes off Bueno, the one he was being closed down by. That's thrown for Burnley. It looks like they're going to be exiting the League Cup in the second round for the first time since the 2019-2020 season, and that's the last time they've been knocked out, and it's not been in the fourth round. Like I said, the last 4 seasons they've been knocked out in the fourth round. The last time they weren't was in 2019, and that was in the second round. As it looks like, by the way, Aaron Ramsdale is set to join Southampton. That would be a fantastic signing for the Saints. If that is true. It's the here we go from Fabrizio. Not quite seen the there we land, but we've got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano on that. So we've got just over 2 minutes of the 90 to play. And Lamina gives it away to Perez on the halfway line, into a central area here to McDermott. Out to the right now for Burnley. Sambo into the space for Hugel, who can't get there. Runs out of play. Overhit. Goal kick for the Wanderers here. Scott Parker watching on. Some Burnley fans definitely going to be concerned with the amount of transfer activity happening, so many players being lost, and you know, Scott Parker will have a big job in his hands here as free kick for Wolves halfway line, just towards the right hand side. McNally pulling down Hwang Hee-chan. Now Wolves on the left. Doherty facing his own goal here, being pressed by Hugel. It's taken off him there by Untunji. But there was a bit of a pull on the back of Doherty's shirt, so free kick's gone the Irishman's way. Still Wolves with the ball. With Bellegarde back to the centre half of Bueno. It's now Doyle picking it up in that midfield area. Midway side of his own half, going back to Bentley. And then out to the left to Totti Gomez here, who will bring the ball forward up towards the halfway line. Slows down. No one pressing him at the moment, so plenty of time to get his head up and find the next pass. And he'll go to Doyle. Lifting it high up towards Hwang Hee-chan in space on the right-hand side. Flag stays down here from the assistant referee. Hwang Hee-chan in the box, pulls it back, can't quite find Bellegarde. Intercepted by McNally, who clears it. Foster will chase it, but it'll be Bueno to deal with him very well. And Bueno now has it after a 1-2 with Lamina. We've hit the 90th minute here at Molineux, and we're just going to get 3 minutes added on here. Where it looks like Wolves are going to win back-to-back games against Burnley here at Molineux, beat them 1-0. In early December of last year, Hwang Hee-chan with the only goal in that game. Chiquinho for Wolves. He's got Pedence to his right, but he'll go on his own. Chiquinho going on the outside of the Burnley defence, but Connor Roberts slides in, concedes the throw in the final third here for Wolves. Maybe a chance to get that third goal of the game. Burnley last season in the League Cup second round, they had to beat Forest away, and then they went to Salford away and beat them 4-0 before crashing out to Everton in the fourth round. Burnley won it back. Masengo going back to the goalkeeper of Haladki. Out to the right it goes here to Connor Roberts. 2 minutes of the 3 added on to play. And Burnley switch out to the left here to Pires, midway side their own half, being closed down by Pedro Lima. Forced to go back to the edge of the area here to Humphreys. Drives the ball forward. Goes to his left to Pires. He's going to go for a ball in behind the Wolves' defence, but it's cut out by the chest of Totti Gomez. They were looking for the number 43 of Will Hugel, the young substitute on for Burnley. But Totti Gomez did well to stop that going in behind. It's now Bentley, the Wolves goalkeeper. He's going to clear this long with his right boot. It's a high ball beyond the halfway line, but can't quite reach Pedence. And it'll go right through to Haladki, who comes right out of his 18-yard box to get the ball moving again for Burnley. We've got 90 seconds left of this game. It's definitely hit a little bit of a null point in it. I think both teams are fairly certain the outcome is a Wolves win. As we just play out the remaining minute of this 3 that have been added on here. But Wolves will be looking to go far in this competition if they can. Might be a nice little distraction from the Premier League start they've had, with 2 defeats from 2. Haladki goes long. Foster comes off his head and out wide left, but no one's there for Burnley. And it's now Wolves again with it in their own half, just to kill the last 45 seconds of this game. Like I've already said, thanks to everyone who's been here tonight. It's been an absolutely fantastic stream. Loads of people getting involved in the chat and loads of people sticking around. Make sure you do subscribe, notifications on so you know exactly when I'm commentating and what game I'm commentating on as well. And do like and subscribe, please, before you go. It massively helps out a channel like mine. It's just trying to grow as big as possible. Still Wolves just passing the ball around in their own half. I'm really surprised the referee doesn't just blow this one early, because Burnley have no interest in pressing and winning the ball back. And I don't think Wolves are in any rush to give it away. 10 seconds left. Waiting for the referee's whistle here of Josh Smith as we're almost at a standstill in the game. Pedence found on the halfway line. Slips it through for Hwang Hee-chan. Last little ball through for Wolves over here into the gloves of the goalkeeper. And after the 3 minutes added on, the referee finally blows for full time here at Molineux. And it finishes Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Burnley 0. Pretty comfortable in the end for Gary O'Neill against his former work colleague. He was the assistant for Scott Parker at Bournemouth before taking on the job himself. And he gets the win here by 2-0. 2 goals from fringe player Gonzalo Guedes. who looks to possibly be on the move for Wolves. He never really settled here since joining 2 years ago from Valencia, but he gets 2 goals tonight. His first was in the 38th minute, a ball across the goal by Pedro Lima, the right back. The goalkeeper came for it, missed it, went through for Gerges, who just had to make sure he got a good contact on the ball, and he did, and it went into the back of the net. He also scored 10 minutes after the break in the 54th minute. All Burnley outfield plays were in the Wolves half, so as the ball broke loose, Pedence just played it in behind into the space for Gerges, who was well onside because he kept himself inside his own half, and he went one-on-one with Haladki and just lifted it over him into the back of the net. It was complete domination in the end for Wolves in terms of the chances. Burnley just edging the possession by literally 1%, by 2%, 49% for Wolves and 51% for Burnley. But in terms of shots, Wolves, every time they had it, they made sure they went forward and got shots off and tried to get as many goals as possible. Wolves had 17 shots to Burnley's 3. Wolves had 6 on target to Burnley's 0. So even though on the ball it was pretty even with the possession, it was only one team who was ever looking like they were going to score in that game, and that was Wolves. They scored twice. 2 goals was enough, and Wolverhampton Wanderers proceed to the 3rd round of the League Cup for another season. Last season, they had to get beyond Blackpool, and they did that 5-0. This season, it's Burnley, and they've won here 2-0. And let's see how far the Wanderers can go in this competition. Got to the quarterfinals just 2 seasons ago, so they can definitely get a run going when they want to. But I think the main aim for Wolves this season will be survival. You know, losing Kilman, losing Neto, not really bringing in many new signings so far. They'll just want to make sure they stay safe for another season here, Wolves, and a kick on maybe the season after. But let's make sure they definitely stay safe. And maybe a League Cup run would be a nice little distraction. But thanks to everyone who has joined this live stream tonight. I hope you did enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Next 2 commentaries coming up. We've got West Ham against Manchester City on Saturday 5:30, and then we've got Salford against MK Dons on the Monday coming up at 8 o'clock. And then we've got the international break, and then the commentaries come thick and fast once again, with the next one being the one after the international break. The first one back will be Bournemouth welcoming Chelsea. So here at Molineux in this League Cup 2nd round fixture, it's a comfortable win in the end for Wolves. Hardly had to deal with any defending and got loads of attacks off, scoring twice. Both of them scored by Gerges, who gets Wolves through to the 3rd round as here at Molineux in this League Cup 2nd round fixture. It finishes Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Burnley 0.